Hey, everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Christmas Culture Club, and it is the week in between. It's Twixmas. Steve, have you ever heard it called that?
No, no, we used to call it tween week because you're between Christmas and New Year's, and so
Yeah, I kind of like Tween Week better. Twixmas just sounds a little like a candy bar. I mean, as well it should be. Void Week, what day of the week is it? Like, have I eaten anything but Christmas cookies today week? Like, I don't know, but
well, you can see I'm not wearing one of my Christmas Culture Club shirts this week because I'm in mourning for the end of Christmas. But yeah,
it went too fast.
we always talk about that, about how, it's in July and you go, well, we're still 6 months for Christmas. And then all of a sudden, boom,
Yeah.
it's there
Yeah.
and then it's gone.
Yeah. That last month, I mean, it was a hectic month for me personally. I had a lot going on, but I did all the things that I wanted to do from a Christmas standpoint, but it felt like it all happened in 5 days. And it's just amazing that it's like in 20 seconds, 4 days of festivities that my family celebrates are just gone. And now I'm like on the couch trying to figure out what day it is and what holiday movie we should watch and all of that. So, I mean, it brings us to our topic this week is what do you do this week? It's a strange week. And I mean, from a historical standpoint, this is actually the celebration of Christmas. For us, we're sitting here saying we're mourning Christmas, but from a historical standpoint, the 12 days of Christmas started on Christmas Day and it extends to Epiphany. So these are the times where everyone should be feasting and having parties and meeting families. So it's interesting that in our culture, it's almost like it's bracketed with 2 points that like you have this Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day festivity, and then New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. And everything in between is just kind of gravy.
Yeah, I think culturally, we're so used these days to building up to Christmas, right? We tend to not, Shannon and I do theater, and we tend not to do shows like our theater usually does a Christmas show, and we won't participate in them because usually sometime around the 15th until the first of the year, we've got other things going on the weekends. We're either going to light displays or we're going to go see a show. We're going to those things. So I think culturally, there's so much more placed on the buildup of Christmas as opposed to Christmas until Epiphany nowadays. And like you said, you kind of split it pre-Christmas, post-Christmas. So
Yeah. No man's land.
yeah, and it,
I
it,
mean,
and it really is.
yeah. And then we've found success for years. We had a party the weekend after Christmas, and that was something that we would historically find really good attendance at because people weren't booked. I mean, in the hosting episode, we talked about, the second week in December is the most popular weekend to host a Christmas party. Honestly, like, I love like that December 27th, whatever that weekend is, because people are bored. All of a sudden they've got all this free time. A lot of people are off work. The kids are off school, so hey, wait, yeah, a party sounds good. And I usually try and do kind of a lighthearted party, either white elephant, bring something that you got that's really terrible for Christmas or bring your best story, things of that nature. And people love it. It's kind of like all the stress from the holidays are gone and everybody can relax.
Well,
But
and the nice thing is it's not, this is coming out on New Year's Eve, right?
mm,
So a lot of folks, especially I think people my age or even from people in their early mid 40s up nowadays, tend not to do a lot of real heavy partying on New Year's Eve. We have a quiet New Year's Eve. We decided because both of us living in Chicagoland, the roads are insane on New Year's Eve.
you sound old.
Well, I'll tell you what did it for me. About 3 years ago, we were going down to Indiana for our friend Jason. Our mutual friend Jason was having a New Year's Eve party, and we've been going on and off for years. And we were down on I-80, and literally we're in the high speed lane, and the road traffic wasn't too bad. This was at 7:30 at night, and all of a sudden, a smaller car comes flying up in the berm,
Mhm.
flying past us at 90 miles an hour. And on the way home, it happened again. And we just said, we don't want to do that anymore. So, but to your point, I think so. If you want to have a nice gathering with friends, why not in between?
Mhm.
Usually it's a weekend. There's a weekend in there, and a lot of people don't work that
Yeah.
week. So,
Yeah. But I mean, it was interesting digging into this episode of why does this week feel so strange? Why is it for us as Americans like we talked about, you do all this lead up to Christmas and it's it's like all that has evaporated, and now you're almost left in this, like, depression or void afterwards of this focus, this, like, singular thing that the kids have been focused on, that the moms have been focused on, delivering. It's all gone, and so now you're just like, "Wait, what am I supposed to be doing?" And the anxiety, the kids are home, like, what am I supposed to be doing to occupy them? I mean, it's just really interesting, but it's also a time where, like, normal routines are paused. You're not necessarily, on your standard schedule. The kids, generally speaking, don't have, practices, football, basketball, whatever it is that they're playing. So it's kind of curious how everybody's unmoored. And it also ties into this concept of the new year, that we're at the very tail end of the year. And it's time for rest, it's time for reflection. The new year comes up and it's almost like then, something magic happens when you have that new page on the calendar and that new number. It's like, okay, my tradition on New Year's is that I clean off my desk, I shred papers, I file everything away. I want to start off with a clean year. And, that's something that's really important to me. And I take time on New Year's Day to do that. And like you, I mean, I don't do much on New Year's Eve. Brian's working this year. So honestly, I've been going like a maniac for the past week. So I'm excited to just sit on the couch and read a book and hang out with the dogs and just have a quiet night. But from touching on something cultural, as a firefighter paramedic at New Year's, they drive any rig that is out on the street in Chicago under an underpass
Good luck.
because no, there is a certain aspect of there's a certain culture in Chicago that you celebrate New Year's by firing a gun into the air. And those
I
bullets come
yeah.
down somewhere, and it's a dangerous time to be out, so they literally will drive all the ambulances, or if they have a fire truck, they will drive it under an underpass wherever they can, if it's in a heavily Hispanic neighborhood. It's just a cultural celebration, and it's just one of those things that or you get to know as a member of CFD what you gotta do.
I first experienced that when I was working in Northwest Indiana. The company I worked for, um, a number of our most of our employees were Hispanic, and I, became very dear friends with them, and I got invited to one of their houses for a big boxing match. It was wonderful. They were Puerto Rican, and the food was amazing, and it was really cool, and their boxer won, and all of a sudden, you see everybody running out into the backyard, and they're shooting they're shooting guns in the air. It's like, "What in the world?" I mean, and it was cool, but yeah.
It's just different. It's just something that, again, I mean, all of this entire podcast has been about examining cultural aspects of why we celebrate the way that we do, and that's just one of them. Chicago has a very strong Hispanic population, and it's just a tradition. This is how the Chicago Fire Department deals with the tradition. Park under an underpass.
I find it interesting when we were talking about, that weird time that, you had mentioned in some of the notes that we put together that less than 25% of non-service related, or retail employees work a week between Christmas and New Year's. A lot of people will save up their time. I always Shannon's a professor, I teach, and then I have my little company. I warn all of my customers the first week of December that I'm done. From December the 20th until January 5th. If you need some of my material, don't try because I'm not going to be available. It's not going to be available. So I do. I mean, now with school, usually it's the 21st or 22nd, but we went to Disney the middle of December, so I've been off,
Mhm.
since the 10th. But and I would recommend to anyone to go to Disney once at Christmas time, but be prepared because it gets insanely busy. And, you talk about the week between Christmas and New Year's. I think everybody's there.
Yeah. It's interesting statistically this year, I had seen the reports come back that travel is low this year.
Yeah.
People are driving places mostly to visit family, but leisure travel is not up this year. People did not book the vacations, did not book, trips to Mexico, Hawaii, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I mean, maybe to your point, they are all at Disney World. So I never know.
Well, and, I mean, we are in tumultuous times, and I will leave it at that. So you can see where there's some concern with traveling. We do it, and when we did it, we had a blast. But it does, you mentioned this a little earlier. You get to the 25th or 26th, 27th, and all the things that you've been building up to, the buying of presents, the packing of presents, the preparing for the cookies and the meals and guests or going to houses, all of a sudden, boom, it's done. And so there is that letdown, and there is that point where you're sitting there going, "Huh, now what?"
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting. So this week, I'm traveling. I'm in Atlanta as I record this episode. I brought my nieces down here to see family, and the family that's here are even bigger into Christmas than I am. So it's been fun because we have done all the Christmas things here in Atlanta. And if you ever need a town to go to actually have fun at Christmas, Atlanta is a, Atlanta. I mean, first of all, it was kind of crazy because the weather was nutso this year. It was 75 on Saturday. So it was insanity how warm it was. But, the Atlanta Botanic Garden does just a phenomenal Christmas light display. It's one of my favorites in the country. We went to the Atlanta Botanic, or I'm sorry, the aquarium is really good. We went to Stone Mountain, and they have this huge Christmas experience. We saw a Christmas light drone show last night. That was pretty amazing. So it's just a fun place to come and spend time. We made ornaments yesterday morning. We've got a gingerbread house to make this afternoon.
Cool.
Tonight, we're going up to Lake Lanier Lights, which is a drive-through experience, and then, like, a farm or Christmas market. So, I mean, it's just, how do you choose to spend your time? And, my nieces were off from school, so I had the ability to bring them down here and show them a different place, show them a different style of town and everything else. So it's been a blast, but I'm tired, you know?
Yeah, well,
It's
you don't stop to begin with, and Christmas
Yes.
is
Yeah, yeah, but, and I mean, for me, like, it's a matter of I took 3 days of PTO and it got me 12 days over Christmas, so that's another reason why I think, going back to the statistic that 25% of people, like, don't work a full week. It is a time because of the way that the United States holiday schedule works out that, you can take this time off to kind of rest, reset, or run around like an idiot, depending on what your personality type is. But, again, like the kids were home. I could bring them and we could go to the aquarium and spend the day at the aquarium. We went to an improv show here that was a family friendly improv show that was a telling a Christmas carol. Yesterday, we went to the Center for Puppetry Arts and we saw a puppet version of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer that was amazing, and got to explore the museum and look at, all the Jim Henson puppets are here and they have like Gumby and Pokey and Lamb Chop is here. So it was really cool, just to get them to kind of see some different places. And we're also, we did Korean barbecue, which they had never had
which
before.
is very Christmas in nature, Korean barbecue.
There there you go. But we're all about trying to get them out of their comfort zone and just, try new things. So I mean, that's maybe the spirit of this week in between. Well, traditionally, the 12 days of Christmas were about parties. When early United States culture, it was the time where all the planters would bring their crops in. You'd harvest a hog, hence going back to like the concept of having a ham. You would come into town, you would stay in town a couple nights, you would go to all the different parties that your social set would host, and it would go on for those 12 nights. You had the Yule log, how long did it burn? So it's just interesting to see what ways we choose to actually make these celebrations happen. Oh, but looking at some of the stats, it was TV, binge watching TV was the number one activity this week. Board games, having cutthroat situations of board games, visiting family and friends, going to museums, and I can say firsthand that the aquarium was insanely busy on Saturday. So, I don't know, I mean, what did you watch this year, Steve, or
You
what are
know,
you watching this week?
because we were gone, we didn't, tend to watch some sort of Christmas movie almost every night or so between the 18th, 15th, and through Christmas Day. We only got to watch a couple this year. We always try to watch Muppet's Christmas Carol on
Yeah,
Christmas Eve.
yeah,
I don't know it's the best version, but it's such a sweet version, and
mhm.
we both love it, so we tend to watch that. But I'm kinda weird. Once Christmas Day's over, I kinda shut down Christmas. I mean, I still enjoy it, like, this year we don't get to because my sons and their mom They were exposed to COVID. So we're not gonna celebrate Christmas with them until the 2nd.
Wait, does that mean you're keeping the tree up?
Yeah,
You told us before, you take the tree down.
usually on Christmas Eve. Not
Yeah,
on New Year's Eve, usually on New Year's Eve, and this year it'll be up until the 3rd.
yeah, there you go.
Well,
The minute they walk out the door, you're like,
yeah,
"The tree's down."
we have them helping us take down the ornaments.
Yeah.
And, and for that, because it lends to New Year's Eve, right? It's let's close out the year and begin a new year. This morning or right before lunch, we sat down and looked at the end of the year, we look at our finances. Like, what did we get done? What did we miss? How what this year, because we redid our what was the old formal dining room to a library, we spent a lot of money on doing that. So we looked at that, and our library now has 812 books. Um and they tell me in order to be a legitimate library, you have to have 1,000. So we're getting there. But we end our year by just kind of looking at it and going, okay, so how do
Clean
we
your
use?
financial house.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely once I'm home, like, I will be cleaning our house. I mean, it's something that I do like to kind of shed that new year. That was, I think, 5th or 6th on the list, on the survey of what do people do the week in between. Clean, declutter. For one aspect, I mean, it's kind of before or as all of the Christmas stuff gets put away. It's easier to go through it and say, "Hey, it's a time to get rid of this." One hack I had seen years ago that I do is on New Year's Day, you flip your hangers around in your closet, with the clothes on them. And
Okay.
as you wear the clothes, you flip the hanger back around. And it tells you, you take stock halfway through the year, I haven't touched this. And then at the end of the year, you're like, I have not touched this clothing. It's time to donate this. This doesn't need to be taking up space in my life. So it's kind of an interesting visual way to let people know, I mean, I'll go through one great thing is find a Christmas light recycle or Christmas light recycling box near you. Christmas lights are really terrible to just put into the trash. They're very, very full of heavy metals and other aspects, but they're eminently recyclable that they just have to go to a specialized facility. So I was excited. I was taking some friends around the city and had stopped in a place called Catherine Ann Confections, and they had a Christmas light recycling box. And I was like, oh my God, wait, how long is this up for? Knowing that, we had replaced some of our lights, like, we still have some old lights that are just lurking in the bottom of boxes. So I'm gonna take them over there and recycle them. Like, there's some snow falling across various parts of the country right now. If you have throw rugs, taking them outside and putting them in snow and actually beating them in snow, if you've got a natural fiber throw rug, it's actually a really effective way to clean it, so maybe you get that done this time of year. I may have spilled part of an egg casserole in the bottom of my oven on Christmas morning. I need to hot bake, like, self-clean my oven now, and that stinks, so that's gonna be fun. That's on my list when I get home.
Yeah,
I mean,
burnt
it's just
eggs.
oh god, it was bad. It was really bad. It's on the heating element too. It was an ugly moment. But yeah, cleaning, shredding, just it helps you walk into the new year feeling fresh, feeling new, feeling ready, positive energy. So I think that's interesting. And going back to your library comment, I'm a reader. I'm starting to see a lot of my friends post, like, I read X amount of books this year.
Yeah,
One
Goodreads
friend
sponge.
yeah, one friend posted, she's got 2 little kids, so for her, it's a lot to read to get time to read. But she's like, "I read 12 books, I can't that was my goal, I can't believe I made it. I wanna read 20 next year, give me your book recommendations." So I'm actually gonna throw up a book recommendation list on our Facebook, and I would love if people share it back with us, whether it's a Christmas book, I'm gonna have some of that, but also just looking at what are the options for some fun books or self-help, anything, share what you love moving forward.
One of the things I did this year, and it's amazing because I love A Christmas Carol, and I've looked at it and through it a number of times, and I've watched, I think, 100 different versions of it. I never sat down and read the book with intention.
Mhm.
And so this year, Matt Balukas and I and our book club, our two-person book club, decided we were gonna read it, and I sat down and actually read it. And it's interesting because, it's not a it's more of a novella than an actual book, and that's what he wrote, mostly novellas. It's only about 140 pages or something like that. So it didn't take long to really read it. Um, but it's interesting to look at all the different versions of A Christmas Carol, the movies and plays and all, and see, how much they expanded upon the story because a lot of I mean, it's all there, but the nature of characters and conversation and things, they're expanded upon. But it was really enjoyable to do that. And I may do that again every couple years just because I did enjoy it so much.
I forget, is it one that he wrote in the newspaper? Did he publish it in sections or did he publish it
He
all at
published it
once?
as a book.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I mean, that was always his shtick and
Oh, dozens and dozens and dozens of short stories. He
mhm,
wrote 22 different Christmas short stories.
mhm. Yeah,
And they got published once he those did get published every year in
mhm,
whatever the the Gazette was that he published in,
yeah,
um but yeah, for me, I you know, the time between Christmas and New Year's, I like to try to touch base with friends, especially friends that, I haven't seen in a while. And, being a gentleman of a certain age, I still like talking with them. So I'll call or I'll FaceTime my wife. Shannon, on the other hand, will sit and have a 3-hour text conversation with her best friend. I'm like, why don't you just talk to her? But yeah, so I think it's a good time to do that, just
mhm,
to touch base. I've got lunch coming up with a friend. I think the Velukai, we call the Velukai and Shannon and I are gonna get there sometime next week.
mhm.
So, yeah, it's this nebulous time frame where I guess no real rules apply, but customs occur.
Yeah, and I mean, who cares if you're having a drink at 10 o'clock in the morning? I just had ice cream at, 12:30 in the afternoon, and I exactly did that. I met up with an old friend here in Atlanta, and we had a lovely, like, leisurely lunch and walked around the square and went and had ice cream, and, it was perfect, and it's something that I forget to take time out of in the rest of the year, and I have someone in my orbit who is doing that. She loves going to coffee houses and she spends a lot of time traveling and going to Europe. And she's like, why is it that I only go into a coffee shop and sit down and read a book when I'm in Europe on vacation? And so she's making it a thing that she's trying to do that in Chicago. And she's just got a list of bakeries and cafes and coffee shops. And Sundays, she's just changing and leaving her neighborhood. She lives in the city. So hopping on the train, hopping on a bus, going to a different neighborhood, going to a different coffee shop. Like, I love that intention and that taking time, understanding we're old enough, these are the things that give us joy, and making space for them in our lives. I mean, all of us are pretty burned out. We've spent the last month running around, getting things done, and making magic for others, I think is something especially like the women, the kin keeper, carries, making reservations, making sure people are where they need to be, making sure presents are wrapped and in the mail and Christmas cards. I mean, I'm the epitome of all that, and I got down here to Atlanta, and I slept for
Excuse me.
15 hours almost because I was just exhausted. My baking count this year, I used 18 pounds of butter. I used 6 pounds of sugar. I used, probably about 11 pounds of flour. Not a lot of half or heavy whipping cream this year. I was pretty light on that. I used, oh my god, probably about 2 pounds of or of cocoa. So, I've been on a baking bender and, my belt is telling me that I've been eating too much cookie dough, so, you
Well,
know,
and you know what? You have to try it, right?
you have to, it's required by law. But now, you're going into a different season. I mean, there's a reason why all the ads are I've noticed on all of my social media feeds right now, all the ads are for budgeting software and gyms.
Yeah, gyms, everywhere gyms.
Yeah.
The which kinda brings us to one of probably I mean, it's a short episode, but, probably one of the last things to talk about is New Year's.
Mhm. Yeah.
And next week is Epiphany, and I know we're gonna close out our season with an Epiphany episode, but
Yeah.
do you make resolutions?
It depends. I mean, if there's something that's kind of pressing in my life that I don't wanna say it's a resolution, I wanna say it's more a mantra, that it's something that I wanna either prioritize or be focused on. I don't have a lot of belief in setting a resolution and holding myself to it and, this is exactly what I have to do and, you know, it is funny though because I tend to have my take stock moment is on my birthday. That's where for me, like I look back at my year and judge myself against like what my hopes were, what my dreams were, did I do better? Did I make myself better? Did I make the people around me better. New Year's doesn't really equate for that for me. It's a time where I start over, but, like, I do have one tradition on New Year's, though, is there's a book called The Midnight Library by Matt Haig that I love, and I've made it my tradition that I reread it sometime right around New Year's, and it's an interesting story about and the fable, the story behind it is you make choices every day, and it can change in an instant, and it can put you on a different path. So try and pay attention to the choices that you make. Midnight Library is a great book to just kind of in a fun way tell you be mindful of the choices that you're making. That you can show up in a cognizant way each day. So it's typically my New Year's book that I read.
Nice.
Yeah, but what about you? Do you make resolutions?
No, not really. I mean, like you, there are things I kind of take stock of. I tell the kids at school all the time that, the most important thing in life is kindness
Yeah,
and
gratitude.
gratitude. Yeah, that's up there too. But so for me, I think it's, at the end of the year, I kind of step back and go, okay, how successful was I? Was I a jerk to anybody? Did I treat people unfairly? And nobody's perfect, but I think that's the biggest thing. So I have tried, um, with my health scare from a while back. I'm trying to live a bit more healthy of a life, and every every year Shannon's like, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, group power. I'm like, but I refuse to go to the gym on January the 2nd like everybody else.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Yeah. Do you have any food traditions for New Year's?
well, not on New Year's Eve, but on New Year's Day, the old German tradition is you always eat pork on New
Okay.
Year's Day. So I think I'm gonna do pork and sauerkraut with mashed
Mhm.
potatoes.
Yeah.
We both love it, and it's fun. New Year's Eve this year, I bought some nice scallops. So normally, because we do stay home now, and we don't really. I mean, there've been a couple times we've had people up, but we just enjoy watching all the New Year's Eve celebrations. And
Mhm.
normally we'll do a hodgepodge of food
Yeah.
and just kind of munch. But this year we decided because we didn't get to do a lot of our normal Christmas stuff on Christmas, especially with I'm sorry, I'm still fighting with a
Yeah.
cold that I caught in Disney or right before Disney from the kids at school. So if I'm scratching it, it's got an itchy nose. No, so we've decided we're just going to put out a really nice New Year's Eve dinner, and we don't drink, but I've got some sparkling apple cider that, and so we'll toast from that. We do stay up, so we don't make a lot of noise. We have two very young dogs, so we don't want to drive them crazy. But and what do you guys? Well, you said Ryan's working, so you're just going to kind of curl up with the book.
Oh god, I can't wait. But yeah,
You stay
so
up.
yeah, typically I stay up. Like you, I also enjoy watching the celebrations around the world. And it was fun. Like when I lived in New Zealand, I remember celebrating at midnight and it wasn't even New Year's Eve yet in the United States.
Sure.
It was just really very disconcerting seeing that. I have a goal. Someday I want to be in Sydney. I want to see the fireworks in the harbor on New Year's Eve. And that stems from me just being a kid and always watching it and thinking it was just so incredibly magical and cool. Um, but so our traditions and some years we host parties, a couple years ago we had this phenomenal party that was just incredibly relaxed. We stayed at home with 10 of our best friends and, had played board games all night and just laughed uproariously. We went out in the front yard with sparklers at midnight and it was just a blast. But one of our good friends is turning 50 on New Year's Eve and she may watch this episode. So I want to
Oh,
wish her
nice.
the happiest birthday. And she just is not, she doesn't love that her birthday is on New Year's. So, but we've had parties with her in the past. This year she's partying with her family, so we'll miss her. But Ryan brought a tradition from his grandmother to our marriage. And the first year he did it, I thought he was absolutely bloody crazy. I was like, "What are you asking me to do?" And it has to happen on New Year's Eve. So I don't know how we're gonna do it this year, if we'll do it the morning of or what. You hold a dime in your hand and you eat a piece of herring. And you keep the dime. It needs to stay on you all throughout the year, and it brings prosperity, And no joke, it's worked for us. Oh, and I mean, I am not a herring fan by any means. We have discovered that the sour cream herring is about the only one that I can get down without yakking. But man, come hell or high water, like we do that every year, and
Wow.
Madeline watches over us. So, you've got the black eyed peas that culturally people do. I mean, it's just fascinating to see like it's our own way of appeasing the gods,
Right.
and whatever it is, like culturally, your god that you believe in, like your society, it's just all of our melting pot traditions that come together and it's just really cool to me, but, I don't hate the idea of traveling on New Year's. I think I can see in the future that it would be something that we did, that we would enjoy, but, Sydney, someday, some year, I wanna be on a boat in the harbor.
Cool. I wanna do, and, Disney, of course. In Disney, in Disney World, in Epcot, around the back in the countries, they each country will celebrate New Year's at the striking of midnight for that country.
Really? That's really
And
cool.
so they'll have a celebration. You go around the world celebrating New Year's in each country according to their traditions.
Mhm.
It's really cool. I've watched several, YouTube influencers and the celebration, and it's fun because they're varied, the different celebrations. I think it's Japan. One of them, they do, a silent disco at midnight. And
That's
you walk
cool.
in yeah, they got this area, you walk in, they hand you
Mhm.
headphones, and you go back, and you see all these lunatics dancing around to no sound at all, and they're, "Yeah!" And it's crazy.
Yeah.
So we wanna do that some year, just the 2 of us, but I have a bit of a tradition that right around either just before New Year's or just after New Year's, I'll send a text to all my dearest family and friends just saying, "Hey, happy New Year's, I'm thinking of you, I love you, have a great,
Yeah.
great prosperous New Year."
Yeah, I mean, we were running between parties on Christmas and, I had gotten a flood of texts from friends and family, same thing. And, Ryan was driving up to our evening party and I was exhausted. And I'm like furiously like typing messages to people, like saying, wishing them a Merry Christmas. And New Year's Eve, I tend to be more intentional. It is a time where I have a little bit more headspace and I do communicate that to my friends. And it's something I wanna say to you, like, I can't thank you enough for being a part of
Oh, thank
this
you for
year.
including me. It's really glad.
Yeah, I mean, just you have been instrumental in making a dream of mine come true, and we're already planning for next year, so for all of you out there, please keep us in mind. It's been fun watching, people watch this more over the past, like, week or 2, that we've had a lot more views and interact with us. Next year, we have to be better with social media, but this year it was just about trying to figure out the
Learning.
platform. Yeah. But man, it's been a blast. Like it's been so much fun kind of bringing the holidays into a different dimension and I love hearing from people that have been watching and they're like, "Oh, we didn't know this." I've got one friend with his little kids that he's been sharing tidbits with and it just makes me happy, all the effort that we've put into it. But seriously, Steve, thank you so much for everything that you've done. Like friendship over 20 plus years and
Yeah,
turned
can you
into
believe it?
this now. I know it's
Crazy.
awesome. So
I was just a
very
child.
cool.
No,
Yeah,
thank you for asking me to participate. It's been a blast, so
not possible without you.
yeah.
So,
So, one more episode next week, we're doing Epiphany, what it's all about, what it means to people.
yeah. What it means to New Orleans, one of our
Yeah,
favorite places that we share.
yeah. Although now that we don't drink, I don't know anymore. It's like, "Oh, what do I do?"
Trust me,
Yeah.
you can still have a good time in New Orleans. I'm not a huge drinker, but my god, like, the mocktail concept is everywhere.
Mhm.
It is just such a thing that and the culture of New Orleans doesn't change. You don't have to be blitzed in order to appreciate the music, the vibrancy. I have a couple friends that'll be down there for New Year's this year. I'm super jealous.
How cool.
Yeah, so, I'll get a report back from the front.
Beignet at midnight.
I have no desire to be in Las Vegas. Las Vegas is the number 1 travel spot.
Is it really?
Yeah, even above New York City in the United States, but New Orleans would be my jam. Like, if I'm going somewhere for New Year's, like, that would be it, so, yeah. But no, Epiphany, we're gonna talk about, like, what is it? Why is it a thing? And, how it translates to American culture. Oh, all right. Well, that's it. Happy New Year's to all of you out there. I hope you, if you make resolutions, I hope you keep it as long as you can. If you don't, cheers to you. Have a great 2026. And thank you for being a part of our journey.
Yep. Thank you. Happy New
Bye.
Year.